As in this morning, I had fresh squeezed orange juice for breakfast and responded to my hunger call for lunch with my all-time favorite, which is soft hot kenke, fried fish, and grounded pepper. But here's the story. For the maize, the orange, the tomato, the pepper, and all other food items that went into my nutritional need for the day, I am so sure women in several villages are responsible for it. Because according to the 5th Ghana Living Standard Survey, 52.7% of women work in agriculture. Women of this nation have been contributing to the economy of Ghana since centuries. It has been that women are, in their capacity, the nurturers of the future workforce of this country. Beyond being the reproductive agent of this country, they also operated as productive agents in economic participation by farming, trading, engaging in vocational trades over the centuries. And I can say that women have gladly taken up that job as active agents of development in all capacities per the opportunities that the society presented them in time eras. We will start with women in pre-colonial Ghana. Women in pre-colonial Ghana were equally nurturers, as always, of the workforce. They were engaged in work as in farming, food processing, trading, but all this happened only with the nod of men and within the domestic sphere and the community sphere. Women in colonial era, with the coming in of colonialization came with Western education. But this education came to intensify male dominance in economic participation and rather marginalized women, in the sense that educational curriculum that came with education was gendered or restricted genderly, as in the content of the school curricula or the educational curricula. And also, with vocational training, women were restricted to what they were being trained to be. But above all, women learned to rise above all these colonial restrictions by taking up their space in trade, taking up their space in local markets, taking up their space by competing strongly with men to become wealthy merchants in their own spaces. Women in today's Ghana, education has been accessible so far. Women and men have been open to economic opportunities so far, in quotes. Women have risen above the limitations that were put on them or placed on them in the colonial era. Women have launched themselves and continue to launch themselves in formal spaces and into informal sectors. Today, we can say or see women studying and becoming lawyers, doctors, nurses, teachers. But this success story, however, is attempting to mask the vertical gender segregation that we experience in our organizations. Back in the mid-1990s, a research or a study that was conducted in the public service, known as Women in Public Service, found out that 95% of the women in public service were the secretaries. All the receptionists were women. None of them were chief directors, and only 10.9% were directors. But above all, today, some few handful of women have risen above all these varying glass ceilings. And I must quote my mom, rised above and broke through all the layers of men hanging up there to become leaders and heads of large organizations. And today we can celebrate the likes of Airtel's Lucy Quist, Barclays Bank's Patient Achionu, Nestle Ghana's Frida Duplan, Unilever Ghana's Meidi Elizabeth Akutu, Business and Financial Times Edith Dakwa, Phoenix Limited's Pearl Esua Mensah. But today, these are just a few of the women that we can mention all here this evening. Still in today's Ghana, women in the informal sector. Women in the informal sector have taken their spaces as large-scale entrepreneurs. Others have broke through and even taken upon themselves occupations or jobs that were hitherto male-dominated. We find a lady there being an auto bodyworks mechanic, an auto mechanic down there, a female barber down there. I stand here as a representation of all women in the informal sector. I stand here as a female taxi driver, breaking through a very protected male-dominated sector, and this is my story. I initially wanted to drive a tipper truck, what the Westerners would call the dump truck. I approached several men who were drivers of such vehicles, and you should hear the explanations they gave me, as in 101 explanations why I couldn't drive a tipper truck, why they couldn't take me on as a trainee driver. Then I needed to lower my ambition. So then I settled on a taxi, but I didn't have the money. I needed a loan, and I took up that loan in the form of the car you see on your screen. But even with that, because I'm a female, I was subjected to total scrutiny as to, can I pay back? Can I work with the car? Would someone snatch it from me? How safe is our investment or our assets in your hands? But I conquered it all. I proved to them that I could take this taxi and work with it. I attempted joining several taxi ranks, but they wouldn't take me because I'm a woman. I tried playing it smart with them. They thought they were smart, but I was smarter. When they wouldn't take me on, I approached one of them and I said, you know what? You wouldn't take me on formally in your union, but let's have a deal. Let me hang around you. When you have clients and they make an offer and you don't like it, can you toss back to me your rejected offers? They said, well, you can have it. If it's rejected, all for you. But they never knew I was armed. I was armed with my call cards. And even when I don't get the rejected offers, I was able to slip my call cards to a few good clients. And through that, I was able to build a healthy clientele base that today provides me with my daily bread. It provides me and has created for me a sustainable livelihood, a livelihood that is ripe for expansion, that is ripe to take on other female drivers. This is the call. If we're rethinking the contributions of women in today's Ghana, I would say, for a nation that has 51.3% of its population as women, it will be economically suicidal for our contributions to be downplayed. It is because women have been restricted to the gender relations that are reinforced with cultural norms as to how to assess the resources and the inputs to help us contribute our fair quota to development. For us to move forward as a nation, I call on that the entire human capital of this nation be assessed, be rounded up, given the necessary tools, given the necessary resources, given the necessary opportunities and encouragement to explore and bring out our fair share of the development of this nation. Women are no more beneficiaries of development outcomes.